Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Goosebumps 2, The Haunted Halloween. So I finally get to see this movie. It came out in 2018. And I remember the first one being skeptical of it because I'm like, oh, it looks like Jumanji of Goosebumps. But I was surprised at just how good the first Goosebump movie is. And, I'm a huge Goosebumps fan. I've said that before. I'm a Goosebumper for life. I own about like two of the books. Let's see, I own the, Night of the Living Dummy 2. And I also own that, The Phantom of the Auditorium. I think I also got the blob that, 8 thing or something like that too, but I just never read it. And so, I just grew up on the television series. I love the television series. I still watch it till today. And it's so much better, the original television series, than any of the movies and that of the Disney Plus series. But the movie is pretty good. And I remember, I always wanted to see the second one. I was confused as I was reading up on the development of the second movie, because originally Jack Black and the actress who played Hannah was supposed to appear in it. But then Jack Black got busy with another movie and they just wrote the Hannah girl out completely, which makes no sense because you'll wonder what the heck happened to her. And so, then I read that Jack Black wasn't even gonna be in the second movie. Then I read he was just gonna have a cameo, and then it turned out to be like a small, tiny little role. And I'm just kind of like, what the heck is going on? Because somebody else is supposed to voice Slappy. And so I'm like, what happened to the dude, the main guy character from the first movie? So I started to get pissed off. Then the marketing came and they changed the letters of Goosebumps from green to orange, which was kind of like a nice surprise. It popped, you know what I'm saying? I like that. But then in the movie, when you watch it, it's green like always. I'm just like, well, what the heck? I was expecting orange. And then I saw it was a brand new cast. I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, something happened. And now they're going to do a complete, anthology kind of standalone thing. I'm like, oh, man. But then I'm that is Goosebumps, so I guess that's all right. But you follow the formula of a movie, and it's supposed to connect. So, then I read this movie didn't do so well as the first. I'm like, no. I'm like, that's going to be it. And it was. There's no third movie, even though the movie ends on that of a cliffhanger. And then, of course, as we all know, Disney Plus got the rights to Goosebumps from Sony, and they created their own anthology series, which is not as good as the original series. And so after watching this, because I've been kind of curious to know what it's about. When I bought the first one on DVD, they had two different deals. They had one where you can just buy the first one by itself, or you can buy it as a 2-pack with the second. I decided not to get the 2-pack because I was a little worried. I'm all like, I just have a bad feeling, with all these changes and stuff like that. Then I decided to watch some clips online, and they were so goofy. And so I'm just like, whatever. So I've been trying to watch this for the longest time, and every streaming site that has it, I have to pay for, and I'm not paying for it. Then when it is on a free streaming site, I completely forgot and didn't watch it. This time I watched it because it's on Freevee till October's over with. And so after watching it, I have to say, it's not that bad. It's not as cool as the first. It's not as dark as the first. It's a whole lot more comedic and a whole lot more sillier and everything. And I actually laughed a lot in this movie, and I did not want to laugh. I didn't want to laugh. I just wanted to take this seriously. It's okay if they add a little humor here and there for levity, but I don't need slapstick type stuff. I don't need MCU baby humor, and that's kind of what I got. And yeah, the original series, it had its moments of humor and cringiness, but it also had its moments of suspense and like horror and scariness and stuff. And so even in some of the like most spookier episodes, they still had just a tiny bit of humor, which was okay. But here it was just slapstick type stuff. And that irritated me. But nevertheless, it was funny. But I didn't want to laugh. It's just, I wish it was more serious. Then you get Slappy in this movie. I'm all like, oh, okay, so he did escape like we thought he would after the first movie. But then his personality was completely different. He kept calling everybody brother, sister, mama, and daddy and everything. And when he said the word mama and daddy, that lets you know it's geared to kids. And I'm just kind of like, why is he calling them all that? Why does he want like a family? Why isn't he as evil as he was in the first movie? And where did he get all these superpowers? Now, if you ever watch my Disney Plus review, you will know that I said I finally got to know the origin of Slappy. Because when I watched the original series, he was just a prankster and everything and would say some rude stuff, and he had some magical powers. He could turn your face into like a puppet doll or whatever it's called, and like, you know, he could like transfer his soul into like somehow reconstitute like his body somehow. They never really explained that. So that's all I ever knew of him, and I never read any other books that explain more about him. And so in the first movie, he didn't really have no powers. He was just like a talking, living doll. And he didn't really act too much like Slappy from like the books or television series. He was just evil. But then, like, you know, with the Disney Plus one, we finally got his origin story, and I was quite surprised about his origin and everything. So I'm like, oh, that's cool and everything. So him having powers in this, I'm okay because, you know, I saw it in the Disney Plus, and I guess R.L. Stein at some point in the books did that. Now, I am glad that it's not Jumanji for Goosebumps, kind of like the first one, but then the first one never made it so special. So with here, it's just completely different. Now, Slappy has the ability just to bring monsters to life and all this other stuff. And it kind of takes the fun out of it because he's so powerful. And it's like if he's that powerful, if he's able to create his own monsters, if he's able to have telekinetic powers, if he's able to transport and everything, how the heck did he get defeated? He's way too overpowered in this movie, but yet he still got defeated by a bunch of kids. No, I take that back. He got defeated by a girl because the two boys were doing something else. And I'm just kind of like, he's too powerful. He should not be defeated like this. And so then you find out the twist of the movie is like, oh, R.L. Stein, this was his first book called The Haunted Halloween. And Slappy is supposed to have like, you know, want a family and all this crap. So I'm all like, oh, okay. So it's following a made up book for the movie. And I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm kind of not. See, I always wanted these movies to be this. Just take one book, adapt it in a modern day audience, and just make it mature. That's all I want. And they never did that. But in this movie, they kind of did. It's a made up book. There is no Haunted Halloween. And now it totally retcons the whole Slappy origin thing, stuff like that, for the make-believe verse of the movies. And so at first, I was content with this being its own movie. You know, it felt like an adaptation of The Night of the Living Dummy, just completely different from that of the book. Until they tried to tie it into the first movie. I'm like, don't do that. Because now I'm going to be asking more questions. And just like everybody else. Like what happened to Hannah and everything. And so apparently R.L. Stein moved. He left one book behind. I do like the Easter eggs of like, you know, what was that cat's name in the one book? I forget. The one that will scratch you and then you'll turn into a cat. I like the little reference to that. And I do like seeing more monsters that we never got in a television series. That was cool. But if you notice, most of the monsters you saw and the ones they fought are the goofier ones for little kids. So this movie is truly just geared to kids and everything, and it sucks. Because even the old television series wasn't that geared to kids, you know? And it's just, ooh, and it's just like, just make it mature, man. I mean, it's a good movie, don't get me wrong. It's a little too campy, and I don't want campy, you know what I'm saying? And so when it comes to the cast, man, two of them have have done so much horror stuff in the past. Mindy McLendon Kirby, I remember her from Reno 911, and I also remember her from the Goldbergs and stuff. Kim Jong, I mean, who hasn't seen that man in anything, his Dr. Ken show, Community, you know what I'm saying? And of course, Jack Black is Jack Black. But when it comes to the kids, now Khalid Harris, I don't know who he is, and I've never seen him in anything. But Jeremy Ray Taylor, who plays Sonny, I remember him from the It movies. I'm like, dude, how did you go from It to this campy crap? Like, seriously, man. Seriously. Like, It is awesome, the rebooted one. But he was also in the first season revival of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Now, I personally don't like the first season revival. I like the second and the third. But yeah, this dude, he's for the horror and stuff. And Madison Eisman, no, Iserman, Eisman. Madison, dude, she was in I Know What You Did Last Summer, the television series, which sucked. But, she's been in two other movies with Jack Black, the Jumanji movies. And she also done some other horror stuff in the past. So, that's cool that these two are have been in the genre before. Similar to that Dylan guy in the first movie. So I like that, you know what I'm saying? But seriously, how do you go from It to this? Oy, and we do get a R.L. Stein cameo. So that's nice and everything. But the whole idea of Slappy wanting a family and him protecting the kids, but then still being bad, that was unneeded. I just didn't need that whatsoever. I do wonder what the original plans for this movie were, because remember, Hannah and R.L. Stein are supposed to be in there. And then they shoved Jack Black into the movie towards the end, only for him to do absolutely nothing. Why even have him in there if he didn't do nothing? But then the ending on the cliffhanger at the end, he gets sucked into a book. That should have been the beginning of the movie to explain where he is. Not that hard to write, people. So basically, I do like also how they had certain things like check off lists from the Goosebumps series. You have a kids being bullied. You have another kid putting on a Halloween mask and trying to scare the sibling, the best friend who tags along. That's very Goosebumps, you know what I'm saying? So I like that they did that. But no matter what, the setting of the original television series is just way better. It was eerie, it was spooky, it was just way better. And so, basically what it is that, Sonny and his friend, what the heck did I just do? Oh no, I hit the stupid tablet. Sonny and Sam, they collect old junk, and then R.L. Stein's old house that's been abandoned. They find Slappy because one of the dudes opened the book. And then when they found Slappy, they recited the incantation, which I like. That's what you're supposed to do. And so, Of course, he's tethered to like Sunny and everything, but he also wants to protect them, so he protects them from like bullies. Sarah is the sister who's trying to get into college, which I'm all like, she's 18? What? She look like she's 15, 14. And so, like, they realize that the doll is alive, and the boy is the first happy until Slappy starts causing chaos at Sarah's school. So then they have to figure out a way to try to put him back in the book and all this other stuff to defeat him. And we still got the whole thing where they open the book and all the monsters go in and stuff like that. But I'm surprised that the monsters were able to go into the book because they didn't come from no R.L. Stein book. They came just from like Slappy's magic. I guess it still works and everything. And so of course, they defeat the doll and all this other stuff. And like then there's that ending cliffhanger. And so I just feel like while it was like a fun, enjoyable movie, what I'm saying, I would have liked it to be a bit more darker. Because it was just a little too silly and everything. And I don't like silliness. Because that's the thing about R.L. Stein stuff. I've watched a lot of his stuff and some stuff I haven't. The original Goosebumps, it had its moments of camp. It also had its moments of horror. Then you had the Nightmare Room that tried to be darker, but the ending was always flat. Then there was the Haunting Hour that was good for the first 2 seasons, and then it sucked for the rest of the series, but it was more darker. Then, however, you have all his direct-to-DVD movies, and I cannot watch any of those. I don't know if they're based on some of his books, like, an adaptation, or just people creating their own stuff. But it's way too Disney Channel Nickelodeon for me. And I just can't get into it. And because it's so overly silly, I just don't watch them. Like mostly ghostly and stuff. I can't do that. And then of course, there's the Fear Street movies on Netflix, and those are very dark. And then there is the Disney Plus reboot of like Goosebumps, and then they had Just Beyond, and Just Beyond was terrible. And so it's kind of like, you sometimes you don't know what you're going to get when they adapt his stuff. Sometimes it's going to be a little silly. Sometimes it's going to be a bit more mature. And I would prefer for it to be mature with just a little tiny bit of silliness. That wasn't that spooky. All right. Well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.